you vanish from a cruise ship cabin, surrounded by your own family, and leave nothing behind. You make no sound, you take no belongings, and you leave no trace. In 1998, someone knew exactly how to make 23-year-old Amy Bradley disappear. And for 25 years, they've almost gotten away with it. What if I told you the most terrifying monsters aren't in the deep ocean, they're on deck with you? In 1998, a family's dream cruise turned into a nightmare when their 23-year-old daughter vanished. The cruise line suggested she fell, but the chilling sightings that followed in the darkest corners of Caribbean port cities tell a far more sinister story.
If you ever wanted to kill somebody, just take them on a cruise.
Exactly what has happened to their daughter is a mystery.
Because you'll never get caught.
Amy Bradley was 23 years old when she vanished without a trace from a Royal Caribbean cruise ship.
A little after 4 in the morning, I said, we got to get up in like 3 hours. Like, I'm going to go ahead and go to bed. So back up, when we left the boat, left from San Juan initially. If you've ever been on a cruise ship for the first time, the boat starts kind of moving and you get a little seasick and it's kind of like, you don't feel too good. And she had that feeling initially. She got her sea legs and kind of got used to it, on the way to Aruba. When the boat left Aruba at 1 a.m. during the pool party, she kind of got that don't feel too good feeling. And then we're sitting on the balcony, and when I tell her I'm going to bed, she's like, yeah, I don't feel good. This wind feels good. I'm going to just stay here in the chair. And so I said, I love you. See you tomorrow. And that, you've heard me maybe say on other interviews that has truly been very comforting to me, that was the last thing I ever said to her. She said, I love you too. I go inside, slide the door closed quietly, and I'm sleeping just inside the sliding glass door on a pull-out couch that she and I were sharing in my parents' room.
In the Caribbean Sea. One moment she was sleeping peacefully on her family's balcony. The next, she was gone. No screams, no struggle, no goodbye. Just a pair of flip-flops left behind, and a family's world shattered forever. This is a story that involves potential human trafficking, cruise line cover-ups, FBI investigations, and a Netflix documentary that's bringing new attention to one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries at sea. I'm Juju Bean, and I've been following the Amy Bradley case for years. Today, we're going to break down exactly what happened on March 24th, 1998, and why, 25 years later, her family is still searching for answers. Trust me, this case is going to stay with you long after this video ends. Before we get into that terrifying morning, let me tell you about Amy Lynn Bradley, because she was so much more than just another headline. Amy was born on May 12th, 1974, and was the kind of person everyone gravitated toward. At 23, she had just graduated from Longwood University with a degree in physical education. Her family described her as cautious, athletic, and fiercely loyal. This wasn't someone who took unnecessary risks or made impulsive decisions. But beneath the surface, there was a hidden struggle.
And last thing that we said to Amy, and I kissed her, was, "I love you. I'll see you in the morning." So we went back to the room. We went to bed.
In a recent interview, Amy's college girlfriend, Cat Lovelace, revealed that Amy was gay. She described how Amy feared her parents' disapproval and the immense pain it caused when her father reacted with disappointment after she came out. This wasn't just a dream vacation. For Amy, it was a trip taken under the shadow of family tension, adding a layer of personal conflict that has been overlooked for decades.
You were a big part of Amy's life for a little while. How long were you together at Longwood University?
We met my freshman year, which was 1994. The very first weekend I arrived, and we dated very soon after.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were a couple into 1996.
So a couple of years. And then we were roommates even after that. Like we shared a dorm room after we split. Okay.
So
now,
when we first started dating, she was seeing someone else in college, and I asked lots of questions. I was very confused about the dynamic, and she said, "Absolutely, no one can know we're a couple. My parents won't accept us." I had actually been given some information by the coaching staff to kind of steer clear. I mean, they back in, and I think Sarah said this as well, in the 90s, it just wasn't as accepted. And so there was a lot of shame and worry that surrounded the relationship. And so for that reason, we had boyfriends. And not only she had a boyfriend, but she asked me to have a boyfriend as well, so that there would be no suspicion of us being a couple.
And that personal conflict is at the heart of a shocking claim made by one of the last people to see Amy alive, the ship's bassist, Alister Douglas, who went by the name Yellow. In a recent interview, Douglas claimed that Amy confided in him that very night, telling him that her father had forced her on the cruise after finding out she was gay. Douglas is firm that he left her just before 1 a.m. This testimony is explosive for two reasons. First, it paints a picture of Amy's state of mind. Second, it directly contradicts the timeline of two other passengers who claimed they saw him with Amy hours later, closer to the time she vanished.
We have this thing called Dancing Under the Stars. And we played. We finished a little after 12. We supposed to finish by 12. A little after 12. I can't tell you exactly what time. And normally people always come up and talk to us. And I remember her clearly coming across when we finished playing, and came across to me and said, "Hi, good set, I mean, back then when I played, I jump around a lot and all of that." And many persons would have always compliment or talk about my way of entertaining. So I said, "Thank you," like normal. And then she said to me that she blows a saxophone. I said, "Okay, interesting. What do you blow?" And first thing, like, what kind of music?
This raises a critical question. Whose story is true?
Hours of March 24th.
Amy and the band member walk over and up to the next deck up above us, and about 10 minutes later, he came walking around by himself.
My inbox, my Facebook, people have been writing me horrible stuff for years.
Really?
My wife, for years. My wife just ignored it.
To your wife?
Yes, once she is at Douglas.
Yeah.
My daughter, who lives in the U.S., has been bombarded. As a matter of fact, I think she met with some people some time ago. Yes, only lately. We haven't talked much lately because lately she called me one day.
Yeah.
Maybe about 6 or 7 weeks ago. But first of all, she called me maybe about 8 weeks ago and said, Daddy, you know, this thing with the girl, look, I keep getting all this stuff coming to me, and I'm concerned with my daughter. And I said, Amika, listen, I said, if you want, you can let people know that I'm not your father, because I say, I can't explain this.
Amy had several distinctive tattoos that would later become crucial to her case. A Tasmanian devil spinning a basketball on her shoulder, a sun on her back, her lower back, a Chinese symbol on her ankle, and a gecko near her navel. These personal markings would become both a source of hope and heartbreak for her family. On March 21st, 1998, the Bradley family, Ron, Iva, Amy, and her younger brother Brad, boarded the Rhapsody of the Seas in San Juan, Puerto Rico. This was supposed to be their perfect getaway, a week-long Caribbean cruise with stops in Curaçao and Aruba. For the first 2 days, everything was exactly what you'd expect from a dream vacation. The family enjoyed gourmet meals, lounged by the pool, and soaked up the Caribbean atmosphere. Amy and Brad, both young adults, took full advantage of the ship's nightlife. But here's what makes this case so chilling. Amy was known for being cautious. During the cruise, she even refused to go snorkeling because she was afraid of open water. This detail becomes crucial when you consider what happened next. Let me walk you through Amy's final known hours, minute by minute, because every detail matters in this case. Amy and Brad head to the ship's disco, the Blue Skies Lounge. They're dancing, socializing, just two siblings enjoying their vacation. Here's where things get interesting. Amy has a conversation with a member of the ship's band, Blue Orchid. The band member went by the name Yellow. What was discussed in that conversation remains unknown to this day, but it was one of the last interactions Amy had with someone outside her family. Amy and Brad leave the disco and return to their family cabin, room 9168. Instead of going straight to bed, they decide to hang out on the balcony, talking and enjoying the ocean breeze. Their father, Ron Bradley, briefly wakes up and sees Amy sleeping peacefully on the cabin sofa. He checks on her, then goes back to sleep. This was the last time he saw his daughter alive. Brad wakes up and sees Amy sleeping on the balcony. He even takes a photograph of her, an innocent moment that would become one of the last confirmed images of Amy Bradley. After taking the photo, Brad goes back to sleep. Ron Bradley wakes up and looks toward the balcony, expecting to see Amy still sleeping. She's not there. He checks the bathroom, the cabin's living area, nothing. Amy has simply vanished. But here's what makes this disappearance so baffling.
So he starts looking. He's unable to spot her. And then he becomes a little bit concerned. So now Ronnie is in full speed and he is beside himself. He comes back down to our floor to get me. I wake up and look at him and it didn't even look like it. He looked terrified, a look of desperation, and I said, "What is wrong?" And he says, "I can't find Amy." And I said, "What do you mean you can't find her?" And he said that she's left the room and I've looked everywhere and I can't find her. So this is about 7. So he spent all that time looking. So Brad, of course, wakes up. She was here. "What do you mean you can't find her?"
Amy's flip-flops were still by the door, placed neatly as if she'd just stepped out of them. Her cigarettes, lighter, room key, and money were all still in the cabin. There were no signs of a struggle, no forced entry, nothing disturbed. If Amy had decided to take an early morning walk, wouldn't she have taken her key? Her shoes? Something doesn't add up. Here's where this story takes its first infuriating turn. When Ron Bradley immediately reported Amy missing to the ship's crew, their response was, let's just say, inadequate. The crew initially dismissed his concerns, suggesting Amy was probably sleeping in another passenger's cabin or had gone for an early walk. They didn't immediately launch a full-scale search. They didn't secure the ship. They didn't make announcements to passengers. Think about this. On a cruise ship, essentially a floating city with thousands of people, a young woman has disappeared, and the response is to essentially wait and see? The Bradley family begged the staff to lock down the ship, to prevent anyone from disembarking until Amy was found. But those crucial first hours, the golden hours in any missing persons case, slipped away. By the time a proper search began, the ship was already docking in Curaçao, and passengers were disembarking. If Amy had been on board, confused, disoriented, or worse, the window to find her quickly had slammed shut. What happened next turned this missing persons case into something far more sinister. As the family desperately distributed flyers in Curaçao,
here we are, we're stranded in this place. So we're standing there, and all of a sudden, the boat in our room was on the side where we were, and the lights were dark. And so they didn't miss their leave time. You know, they had a schedule. They didn't want to disturb the guest. So they left us.
disturbing reports began to surface. A Canadian tourist named David Holloway claimed he saw a woman matching Amy's description in a car with 2 men on the morning of March 24th, shortly after the ship docked. He described her as looking distressed, as if trying to get help. She reportedly had a bandage on her arm, which matched a minor injury Amy had sustained before the cruise. But the most chilling report came a year later. A retired U.S. Navy officer named Stephen Blount claimed he encountered a woman he believed was Amy Bradley in a brothel in Curaçao. According to Blount, the woman identified herself as Amy Bradley and desperately begged for his help, saying she was being held against her will. Blount described seeing a man enter the room, brandish a knife, and pull Amy away before he could fully react. Based on his description, the FBI released sketches of the individuals he claimed to have seen. These sightings, gave rise to the most terrifying theory in Amy's case, that she was kidnapped and sold into human trafficking. This theory was bolstered years later when a photo showing a woman with a striking resemblance to Amy surfaced on an adult website under the name Jazz. The FBI even stated it was likely Amy. For many, this was proof that she was alive and being held somewhere. But recently, the case took another shocking twist. A woman named Rebecca Aliff came forward with a stunning claim. She says she personally knew the woman in the Jazz photos. According to Aliff, Jazz was a call girl she befriended in Florida in the mid-90s, years before Amy Bradley disappeared. Aliff provides chilling details, describing a controlling handler and an environment of exploitation, even claiming she likely did Jazz's makeup for the infamous photo shoot herself. If Aliff's story is true, then the most compelling piece of evidence that Amy was seen alive after she vanished isn't Amy at all. It deepens the mystery and forces everyone to ask, if that wasn't Amy, then what really happened after she was taken from that ship? How could someone vanish from a secured cruise ship? Through careful planning and inside knowledge. The lack of her personal belongings suggests she didn't leave willingly. The immediate sightings in Curaçao suggest she was taken off the ship against her will. This theory transformed Amy's case from a simple missing person investigation into a complex international crime involving organized human trafficking rings. The FBI became heavily involved, treating this as a potential kidnapping case with international implications. What's particularly disturbing is how trafficking rings operate in port cities. Curaçao, despite its beauty, has long been a transit point for illicit activities due to its strategic location. Its proximity to South America made it a major hub for the international drug trade, meaning sophisticated and ruthless criminal networks were already well established. This dangerous environment is further complicated by the fact that prostitution on the island is legal and regulated. For decades, it has had government-sanctioned brothels. While this system was intended to control and manage sex work, investigators and experts believe this legal framework can be exploited by traffickers. It creates a ready-made market and a veneer of legitimacy that can be used to hide victims in plain sight. This is precisely why the witness sighting of Amy in a Curaçao brothel was considered so plausible and terrifying. It wasn't just a random location, but part of an established, local industry where a victim of trafficking could tragically disappear. Amy was a young, attractive American.
The difficult part is, back then, information such as that or pictures such as that, you cannot tell when they're altered.
Unfortunately, exactly the profile that trafficking rings target. The timing of her disappearance, just hours before docking, suggests this wasn't random. Someone knew the ship's schedule, knew the family's cabin location, and knew how to move to ensure no other family would experience the same negligence they faced in those crucial first hours. The Bradley family's fight for answers gained national attention when they appeared on major television shows, including Oprah and Dr. Phil. These appearances weren't just about publicity. They were desperate attempts to generate new leads and keep pressure on authorities. Oprah's platform, in particular, brought Amy's story to millions of Americans, many of whom were learning about cruise ship disappearances for the first time. The family shared their anguish, the cruise line's initial inaction, and their belief that Amy was still alive somewhere, fighting for her freedom. More than 25 years later, Amy Bradley remains missing. The FBI has investigated hundreds of tips, followed leads across the Caribbean, and the case remains open. The Bradley family has never stopped searching, never stopped hoping. Royal Caribbean has faced criticism for their handling of the initial disappearance, leading to changes in how cruise lines handle missing passenger reports. But for Amy's family, these changes came too late. Now Netflix is revisiting Amy's story with their new documentary series, Amy Bradley is Missing. This renewed attention could potentially generate new leads, bring forward witnesses who remained silent, or pressure authorities to take another look at cold evidence. Sometimes, all it takes is one person seeing Amy's story who remembers something, who saw something, who knows something that could finally bring her home. So what really happened to Amy Bradley? Was she taken by human traffickers who had been watching her, planning her abduction? Did someone on the ship's crew participate in her disappearance? Or is there another explanation we haven't considered? The evidence suggests this wasn't an accidental fall overboard. Her belongings left behind, the immediate sightings in Curaçao, the credible witness accounts, they all point to something more sinister. But here's what I keep coming back to. Amy Bradley was a cautious person. She wouldn't have left her cabin without her room key, without her shoes, without telling anyone. That tells us this wasn't her choice. You know what gets me about Amy Bradley's case? It's how ordinary everything was until it wasn't. This could happen to anyone, your sister, your daughter, you. Amy wasn't taking risks, wasn't being reckless. She was just existing in what should have been a safe space, surrounded by her family. As someone who's covered countless missing persons cases, I can tell you that Amy's story stands out because of how preventable it feels. If the cruise line had acted immediately, if security protocols had been in place, if someone had just taken her father seriously from the start, would Amy be home today? Her family has never given up hope, and honestly, that both inspires me and breaks my heart. After 25 years, they still believe Amy is out there somewhere, and maybe, just maybe, this renewed attention from Netflix will finally bring her home. I think about Amy's parents, Ron and Iva, who've spent more than half their lives searching for their daughter. I think about her brother Brad, who took that last photo of her sleeping peacefully, never knowing it would become evidence in a missing persons case. These aren't just characters in a true crime story. They're real people living with an unimaginable loss. What do you think happened to Amy Bradley? Do you believe she was trafficked? Or could there be another explanation we haven't considered? Have you seen any of the Netflix documentaries yet? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing your perspectives on these cases. And if you want more dives into unsolved mysteries like this one, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. There are so many stories out there that deserve to be told, so many families still searching for answers, and I'm committed to bringing you these cases with the respect and thoroughness they deserve. I'm Juju Bean, and if there's one thing cases like Amy Bradley's teach us, it's to stay vigilant every single time. Pay attention, trust your instincts, and look out for yourself and those around you. Stay safe, and let's keep learning from these stories together.
She's counting on us, and when we go to bed at night, Ronnie have a special little kiss, and we said maybe tomorrow. And so that's what we live with every day, and she needs people's help. So we ask from the bottom of our hearts, if you know anything or if you know anybody that knows anything, please help us. Please help Amy.